Okay. We have been speaking about restoring Lucifer, the light bringer. And of course, last week was the first time we went into that. I'd just like to recap a little bit before we go a little further into this week's message. Okay, so last week we talked about the trading that these, I call them the Luciferian rebellion, okay? And of course, this is what is commonly called, but there's a trading that has been going on, okay? And pretty much the trading are souls being traded and souls being entrapped to function or to sell themselves, if you will, into this trading. But this trading or this commerce that's going on, it has filled the earth. It has filled the earth, and everybody, just about everybody's caught up in it. Everybody's born into it. They don't know that they're participating in it. And we come into this world and we pretty much become detached when we come in through the portal. We become detached and we find ourselves serving in this commerce, serving under this trading that we spoke about last week. Well, this is the fall that we have gone into, okay? And this is what actually separated us. And this is still taking place today. Now, this is going to come to an end. But there's a process before it comes to an end. We went through Black's Law's Dictionary last week, and we looked at commerce, and we saw that commerce was in a course by way of trade, trafficking between different people, and of course, just don't think of between different people as well, Africa and the United States, but no, think about it in the sense of higher beings having something in this earth, and they are using the people who are in the earth, okay, or through the captivation or of those people, and they're using these people, or to sell themselves. They're using these souls to sell their physical vessels for the use of this commercial activity that's going on. Now, because you and I have come in here, we don't know who we are. We very willfully sell ourselves. That's what we do. We sell ourselves into all that's going on. And we don't have a clue until we start to wake up. So I told you guys that there was a time that I used to get into these words in the Strongs and the Cineas and Thayers, and I used to jump in these words and look up certain things, just going through a rabbit hole. And let's go over to Revelations 18:3. And in Revelations 18:3, there was a particular passage that I remember going into these words in the scriptures. And one particular word that I wanted to talk about or spoke about last week was in Revelations 18:3, and the scripture says, "And all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication." And that fornication, that word fornication, I think it was from the word 4202 in Strong's, whatever, and it's actually comes from the root of pornography. I think it's actually pornaire or something like that. Okay, and it's actually has its roots in pornography, okay, or pornographic, and it's relating to the word 4205, which is pornos, which is derived from another word, porneia, or pornio, which actually means to sell off. And that's exactly what we have done. So we're in here as souls, and we have a vessel that we have taken on, and we have been entrusted with this vessel to do a job. But we have sold ourselves, okay? That's what we have done. We have sold ourselves, and everything that we do now is actually for the building of those who we have sold ourselves to in their commerce. And that's what we're doing every day. Now, when we wake up, now it's time to take that back, because we have all sold ourselves, and we have all committed ourselves into this in some kind of manner. Whether it's by our implication, by the things that we are doing, or some people, like, some people know, such as these entertainers that actually take vows to come under certain things for success in this world. Those, they know they're doing it. So that's not by just implication, that's consciously going into it. But some of us are caught by the implication, but the things that we do, we go out and vote. So we show that we're part of it and we want a part of it. We go out and we start getting paychecks from these guys, things that we're doing. And so they can come by later on when we, go out and get our license and our marriage licensing and all these other things. We're showing them that we want to come under them, but it's by what is implied. So they can assume that every time. Every time something happens and they come to your house to investigate whatever, they could assume that you are part of them until you show that you have taken things back. Okay? And even when you do, it's not going to be very easy, because most people on the lower levels and even on the second and third levels don't know this. They're also caught in the same game, because they're souls, they're your brothers and sisters, but they have sold themselves too. And all that has happened, we have sold ourselves to come into the place that we function and act in manners that's against each other. And we are stuck. We're a laughing stock. So it says in this scripture that the kings of the earth has pretty much committed fornication with her, and the merchants, those who merchandise, traffic, commerce, make business of this earth, they have become rich, or what they think is rich, but it's rich in this world through the abundance of what she has put out. Her luxuries, not the luxury of the Father, her luxuries. Okay? So the things that she has set up in the earth, we have now come, and this is all we know. So we go out, we get an education, and this education that we get is actually to support her, but we don't know it. Okay? We go out, we get a job. The job is to support her, but we don't know it. Everything we do is we get married, we get a license to get married. Like, you need a license to do something like get married. You get a license to go out and drive your car. This is all the things that we do. Now, the reason why you get a license, not intellectually really, but the reason why someone would have to, why someone would need to get a license is that the thing that they're going to do would be illegal in the first place if they did it without a license. So really what they're telling you is that which your creator has put together, they're holding a position that is illegal. That's why you have to come and get a license for that. So marriage, to drive, or whatever, this is where licensing are coming in. Coming in, and it's doing all kind of diabolical deeds for us, because we're selling ourselves in all this. We don't know. That's all part of their commerce. Okay, this is all commercial activities, but we don't know it. And they could hold us by implication, okay, by the acts that we're doing, all in this area right here. Okay, so we're going to look at a little bit more of this word porn, okay, or 4202, okay, and don't look at it necessarily in the manner in which we have come to see it in the earth. Let's look at it from a higher perspective, because no spirits are into pornography in the manner in which it's being displayed in the earth. I mean, they can't get into it physically because they're spirits. However, they could take over a body, and that body that they take over, they could actually function in that manner in the physical world, if that's where those minds are. So they take over that mind, and when they get ready for a fix, they can get into those individuals, and they could bring this forth. Now, so we're seeing now that people, the kings of this earth, and the rules are the laws that the kings pass forth in this world, is for her, and it's all for her commercial activity, her trading. Okay? It has filled her with violence, we looked at last week. okay? Doing activities that's actually against you and I, and actually against herself. But she is in the same place that we are because she has actually been drunk herself. So it's a situation as well where she's at right now. She thinks this is something that she wants to do, and she wants to stay away from the order of the Father that you and I want to come into right now. So let's go over to Revelations chapter 17. Go over to Revelations chapter 17, and we're going to look at verse 2. Okay, so before we look at verse 2, let's go to verse 1. It says here, and there came one of the seven Malachim who had the seven bowls, and talked with me, saying, to come, I will show you the sentence of the great whore that sits upon many waters. Those waters are nations, the kings of the earth, all the nations. This great whore, meaning she has moved from that which she was supposed to be supporting, okay, in the Luciferian rebellion, because Lucifer was an office that was supposed to do certain things in this earth. She has taken that office and she has moved in a different direction, and it's called her, but it's a whole body of beings. And now everyone is becoming stuck under her by this trade, by this fornication. And this fornication is actually her commercial activity that we looked at last week, okay, in Ezekiel. So in verse 2 now, it says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. This is the same thing. We've sold ourselves. We have all sold ourselves. Okay? It's you know, when we look at it in the physical sense, it's sexual immortality, immortality. That's what we look at it in the physical sense. But that's not really what it's all about when you look at it from spirit. Okay? In figuratively, in spirit, is to be unfaithful to Messiah. Messiah has put you in here, or Yahweh has put you in here through Messiah, and you have received a body to express the Father through. Someone else has come along and says, you could have what your Father wants you to have and what we have discovered here to have, and you're going to be okay. You're not going to die. And we have gone for it, and we have sold ourselves under that. It says, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk, just as her. She's drunk with the blood or the life of the people, and she's getting in with all the activities that she's going into, and she's getting into more greed and more greed. She wants it her way. So she's drunk, and everybody else is drunk with the same wine, the same teachings that she has, but the teachings that she's dealing with are those teachings of her activities, which is called fornication. Her activities, they're called fornication. That's what it's called. Fornication means that we have sold ourselves to this woman, if you will. Okay? We have intercourse with this woman. We are bringing forth that which has been put within our minds in this earth. We're bringing that forth collectively until our minds change. When our minds change, then we start doing something else. But she's not going to like that when that happens, because see, when Adam and Eve first came into the earth, Adam and Eve came in to displace her in the first place. Now, if you remember the dishonest manager, or the parable of the dishonest manager, when the dishonest manager was going to be displaced, the dishonest manager invited some friends or some individuals who invited the dishonest manager into their homes, which is your vessel, your mind, and actually deceived them into holding back some of what they had for the owner, for the ruler. Well, this is what happened to Adam and Eve, and that's all they need to do to lose it, is to get it mixed. Now, if you remember, this knowledge of good and evil was there, and this is all we need to do is go and get that mixture going. And once we got that mixture moving, we lost. We lost what we had. So now Yahshua came in, and if you remember, she did the same thing to Yahshua. She said, okay, Well, all you got to do is bow down and worship me, just like she came to Adam and Eve. She tried to slip Yahshua up in the same manner. Well, Yahshua held his own. He said, well, this is what Yahweh says, and this is what I'm going to do. But she had to go after Yahshua too. Well, she took Yahshua out, but that was written in the codes because Yahshua had let us in here, and he had to be the one to come and deal with certain things physically to direct us back to certain spiritual concepts. Okay, so now today we have the woman that has to go into the wilderness. Now that woman is the body of Messiah. Well, she's going after that same woman because the time has come again for her to be displaced, but she wants to stop that once more. That's why she's going after that woman, just as she went after Yahshua, just like she went after Adam and Eve, because she wants to hold her place and still act in the drunken manner in which she's at, because she also has been cut off in the same manner that we have been cut off. But the only difference is she's ruling over us because we went and we subjected ourselves to her. So now she's going after this woman who has now waken up. This woman has now is now shaking all the cobwebs off and is actually moving toward the Father. Well, she has to stop this woman too before this woman brings forth Messiah into the earth and actually cause the replenishing of the earth to come forth and her job to be lost. So she doesn't want that. So she wants to hold on to everything. Now, let's go over to Isaiah chapter 14 real quickly. Isaiah chapter 14. And we're going to look at her a little bit more here, because in here it speaks of her as Lucifer, that everybody's afraid of. Everybody's afraid of Lucifer. Lucifer is nothing for you and I to be afraid of. But they have set it up that you and I don't want to get no place close to Lucifer. We hear that word and we'll go 10 years from it. We want to have nothing to do with it. So here now in Isaiah 14, let's look at verse 9 first. See? Okay. It says, Sheol, or the grave, from beneath is excited to meet you at your coming. It stirs up the dead, or the ignorant, for you, all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up for their thrones all the kings of the nations. All of them will speak and say to you, have you also become as weak as we? Have you become like us? Now, that's who she's over. But when they start to wake up and go to another state of consciousness, she's going to be bound. She's going to be bound because that which she's using to bring everybody down and to rule over them, that's going to be, the bottomless pit is going to be shut up. And she's going to find herself in a place that she's going to fall just like Adam. She's going to be the tail at a certain time and no longer the head, because there's going to be new heavens physically and spiritually and new earth physically and spiritually. Finally, she's going to be displaced. So it won't be an Adam Eve situation or Yahshua situation. This time when she's going after the woman, Yahweh's going to nourish the woman, and those who resist her, they're going to end up getting over on her, because things are going to be happening this time in a little bit of a different manner. So in verse 11 now, it says, your pomp or pride is brought down to the grave. So this is a demotion, or she's coming down. The sound of your harp, the worm, is spread under you, and your worms cover you. All your worms cover you. The magnets, whatever, and the beguiling, the iniquity, this is what they're calling these worms. How you have fallen from heaven, or the authority that you had in the astral level. Okay, because remember, you don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but principalities and powers in high places. Well, this is heavenly offices. And this heavenly offices that this one is holding is supposed to be the Lucifer office. The Lucifer office was supposed to bring light in the world. It's the light bringer. It's what actually is the son of the morning. It's actually what causes light to come early in the morning. So it causes nighttime or darkness to go. But they didn't do this. They did something else. They went in the opposite direction, and therefore the earth became without form and void, and darkness came upon the earth. Not the light, not the morning. So this is where they are now. So he goes, how you have fallen from heaven, O Lucifer. Here it says Hillel. Okay, it got Aphrodite, whatever, Venus, but it's Lucifer. Child of the light. Because this is what Lucifer's office is about, to bring forth light. Okay, how you have been cut down to the ground from your authority, you who weakened the nations. For you have said in your heart, I will ascend above the heavens, I will raise my throne above the stars of Yahweh. These are the other children that it did do that too. Okay, I will sit in the highest place of the holy mountain of the congregation, rule over things. And this is why you have this woman who is sitting on a beast, and all the nations have drunk from the wine of her fornication and have become deceived from it, because that which is above is actually, she's setting that very situation, in the earth. She's setting those very same ideals in the earth. So this is what she's carrying forth in the earth. She's not bringing forth light. She's doing something different, because that's why it's called the Luciferian rebellion. He says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High over the Most High's children, because she knows she can't be the Most High, but she wants to be like the Most High. And that's what we do today. If you think about it, we have her characteristics, and we want to be the best. The hero that we go after is the best. He's the strongest, or the fastest. And we go after that. We want to see it. We want to embellish in it. You go to the Olympics, you're not rooting for the guy who's coming last. No, you're rooting for the guy who is going to be first. This is because that's what we do. Okay, but in the heavenly concept, we don't look at strength in the manner of which we look at strength in this physical world, because strength is going to come by our mental power. It's more powerful in the eyes of heavenly beings if you and I have the strength not to go beat somebody up, then the physical strength that we have when we're big and buff and want to take somebody out, we just do whatever we want to do and knock that person down. It takes more strength to restrain ourselves than to beat another person up. And that's the strength that is being looked upon above. Control over the physical world, the physical body. This is what we're looking for in the heavenly world. So here we're looking at verse 14. I'll read that again. So it wants to ascend above the heights, and it wants to be above its brothers. It wants to be above the stars, okay, the suns. And that's what it has done. And that's what we have Adam and Eve now, which is us, okay, serving her. And she has set up herself as this God over us and created money in which we find ourselves chasing every day, and we're always in debt to her for something through the slaving that we do for that money. She keeps us there. Okay? It's called debt slavery. I've heard someone call it debt slavery. And that's where we get ourselves stuck. It's all part of the commerce. Well, we have to take this back. Okay? We have to take this back. We have to see what's going on and take it back. Okay, so now we look at verse 15. It says, yet you will be brought down to Sheol. This is the grave here, okay? To the side of the pit. So what we're doing will not work. what they're doing will not work. They're going to be brought down. Now, let's look at this morning star now, and we're going to look at where Lucifer is at this morning star as an office. And let's go back to the temple that we've been talking about, okay, and the furnishings in the temple, the most holy place, the holy place, the outer court, all that stuff, okay? And we're going to look at how creation comes about. Okay. Well, out of the sun brings forth 7 worlds. Okay, out of the Son, which is the only begotten Son, the Father has life within himself. We've always said this. This life that the Father has is the Father's Spirit. Okay, so the Father brings forth a Son. His only begotten Son is brought forth. This is in what is the all. Now, out of that which is everything, you take out of that now, like you would take something out of a hologram, okay, a part of that out, and when you take it out, it's the very same, it's the identical thing as the hologram. It has all that the hologram has in it, just in smaller detail, because it came out of it, so it can't be the very same thing, but it had everything looks the very same. It's just the detail, just down to scale. Was scaled down a little bit. That's all you have. Now you go into that hologram that you just took out of the larger hologram, and you pull another hologram or part of a hologram out of that one. You have the very same thing, just scaled down even more. But every time you go into creation, it's the very same thing that's being done again. So you have different only begotten sons on every level coming down. Only begotten sons all the way down on every level. And all these only begotten sons put out 7 worlds, each of them. Now, in this world, each of these 7 worlds that are put out now, if you come down from the only begotten Son, which is in the most holy place, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit is in the most holy place, and you come down to the holy place, the very first thing you have when you come down to that level of the holy place is you have what you call the lampstand. Of incense. And this lampstand of incense have 4 horns. And the 4 horns is symbolic of the 4 living creatures which are dispatched from the heavenly abode to start all physical creation. Okay? Spirit, okay, or air, they call it. Okay, so spirit comes into the place that now it brings forth fire. So you have air, then you have fire. Then it brings forth the activity with water. And of course, in our world, we think that water and fire can't work together. But in this level right here, fire and water perfectly balanced, they could function together with each other. Fire could be burning in water in this world. Now, the activity of fire and water coming together, okay, under the right circumstances, it brings forth physical things. And this is how these 4 living creatures come together, and they're called the 4 elements: air, fire, water, and earth. And they bring forth that which is of the physical world. This is what you have. Now, so you have a physical world that is set up, but now you need life to go into it. Life needs to go into that physical world. So it's created by the 4 living creatures. But now you come down from the 4 living creatures, and the right-hand side of Yahweh, inside the holy place, you have the lampstand, the 7-lamp lampstand. Now, this is light. This light is then dispatched to give life to, nourish, guide, and to guard the creation. This is what the light is doing. This is the 7-lamp lampstand. Now, this is the Lucifer office. Lucifer, morning star, which brings forth the light. This is the office that Lucifer was supposed to be dealing with in the creation. But Lucifer did not bring forth life. Neither did Lucifer nourish or guide or guard the creation in the way that was set up by the ruler of this universe. So the nourishment of life now, the nourishment of light now is to nourish with the bread. Now the bread is on the other side, the right hand side of Yahweh, and it's called the showbread. Okay, this is what we find in the holy place. So light's nourishment is the bread, which is from heaven. In the most holy place, the bread is the hidden manna, if you remember, that's in the third heavens. Yes, there is a third heaven. You know, the most holy place is that third heaven, and you have third heavens in every one of these worlds, these creations, these universes. You have third heavens in all of them, and all these third heavens have they're just one of 7 different worlds that also have third heavens. Now, let's hold our place, you know, where we are right now. Just, I mean, hold your thoughts right there, and let's go and look at 2 Corinthians. Okay, 2 Corinthians. Okay, and don't look at this in the book that we have, that I have. I'm going to read it, and you're going to see it. It's going to be one way in this book. But if you go and look at it in another book, like a King James Version, you will see that it's not talking about just one heaven. So 2 Corinthians 12, let's look at verse 2. It says, more than 14 years ago, a man who was the Messiah was revealed to me. Whether he was in his physical body or outside of his physical body, you see, we could live without that physical body when we got redeemed, right? Okay, so we see that, right? Okay. So that was not revealed to me. Yahweh was doing the revealing. That's who was doing this revealing right here. Yahweh was doing the revealing. The man was taken up to heaven. This is what it says in this book. Okay? But if you go read another book, such as the King James Version and a lot of other versions, it'll tell you he was taken up to the third heaven. If you remember, Yahshua said to the people that saw him, he told them when he first got resurrected, he told them, do not touch me, because I haven't ascended to my Father yet. Well, the Father is in the third heaven, the most holy place. This is the third heaven. So he hadn't ascended there yet. Okay, so when he ascended there, then things would be different. Now, if you go to Deuteronomy, Moshe also knew this. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 10. Okay, and let's look at verse 14 of Deuteronomy chapter 10. Deuteronomy chapter 10, in verse 14. It says here, heaven and the highest heavens, telling you that there is not just one heaven, and the highest heavens and the earth with all that is in it truly belongs to Yahweh, your Father. Heaven and the highest heaven. Let's go to David. David received inspiration from Yahweh too, and he was a prophet also. Psalms 148. Let's look at verse 4. It says, praise Yahweh, you heavens of heavens, and you waters above the heavens. Now, you waters above the heavens. Now, notice now, he says waters. But waters, he's not just talking about a cloud, because the cloud is not above the heavens, right? But by the time he was saying this, that's what was on the earth. A new heaven and a new earth was on the planet, different than what was back in the days before the flood. It was a different heaven and different earth. You had the earth that was there was wiped out, and different people were on it. Right now, different people with different thought processes. Okay, even though it was also infiltrated again, and you had a different heaven also, because you didn't have rain before, and after that flood, then you have all of a sudden you had clouds and you had rainbow. So he's not talking about the waters that's in the clouds. He's talking about the waters that's above the heavens. Well, the waters are the sons, the only begotten sons. In every one of these heavens, you have that which is an only begotten Son over the, that's under the Father, if you will, or the head of that heaven. And as you take out some out of that hologram, you have another one that is in that hand that you just pull that out of, and you have Father, Son, and Holy Spirit in that heaven. And it's the same thing. So you have 7 worlds that come through the only begotten Son, and you have the 4 living creatures that brings forth life, or brings forth the physical world. Then you have light that comes forth, and this light is going to bring forth nourishment into the world, into the creation. And so this bread that is bringing forth now, which is the showbread, in the most holy place, or the heavens of heavens, Moshe put it there, and he called it hidden manna. In the most holy place, it was the hidden manna. Okay? In the holy place, however, it was the showbread, which was the food. In the physical world that we have here is called just food from the earth. But we have food from one heaven, which are, okay, or the second heaven, which is called the showbread. And we have food from the third heaven, which was the hidden manna. And Yahshua said he's going to give us the hidden manna, which was in the most holy place. Now, let's go over to John chapter 1. So keep in mind now, Lucifer, son of the morning, this is the light. Okay? The book of John 1 and verse 1. Okay, we read this all the times. So this is the very beginning. In the beginning was the Word. It says plan here, but that's fine because it's the plan too. It's the expression, okay? It's the breath, okay, of Yahweh. And the plan or the word or logos was with Yahweh, and the plan it says was Yahweh's, but it was Yahweh, because Yahweh is just one. Okay. The same plan was in the beginning with Yahweh. It was Yahweh, and it was with Yahweh. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, making up Yahweh. All things were done according to it, and without it, nothing was done that was done. Okay. In this plan, or this word, logos, was life. Because life has to come through to seed the physical world that the 4 living creatures put together. Okay? And the life was light. Light. This is what Lucifer was supposed to do. Bring forth light to the creation. Okay? And bring the creation up, give it life, nourish it, guide it, and guard the creation. Okay? Like children, and as it becomes more mature and everything, it's guided in the form in which the Father wants it to be brought forth, and it is under the subjection of Yahweh in this particular sphere that we have, until it goes up and it grows up, and it's all part of everything consciously and everything. So this is life. To mankind, the light is life. Lucifer, son of the morning, had the office of bringing forth light. Now, let's go over to Genesis chapter 3. Okay. So now this is what was supposed to take place there, Genesis chapter 3, and if you read it in most Bibles, it doesn't give you what was really happening. Okay. So Genesis chapter 3, if you look at verse 14 in the King James Version, it says, "So Yahweh said to the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed more than all cattle and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you shall go, and you shall eat dust all the days of your life." Well, that's not really what was happening. Now, I have a book here which has a different translation, and this translation is actually what happened. Okay, so we're going to look at this translation here from this BOY, and in 3:14 here it says, So Yahweh said to the serpent, because you have done this, you are bitterly cursed. This is a correction that has to come. I established you or appointed you over all living things. Remember we read, and so I married you on the whatever, in the mountains, whatever, and we said this was an ordination. You were ordained. Okay? Okay, so he says, you're bitterly cursed. I established you over all living things. This is in this earth. And I established you over all flesh on the ground, but your ability to bring forth life from the dust will be taken, because that's what it was supposed to do, bring forth life. Okay, so he says you will go to your punishment, which we just got done reading. You're going to be brought down. You will be destroyed on that day by Yahweh who lives forever. Well, the destruction is not total destruction as we would think about it. It's a corrective mode. But this scripture, they have actually, they went into it, whatever, and they did their translations. And of course, their translation, a lot of times when it comes down to what the law says, they totally take the law of Moshe and the law of Yahweh. So a lot of times you have to kind of be able to figure out what's going on when in this translation. But this translation is actually telling you what took place. Okay? The ability for Lucifer to bring forth life, it's gone because Lucifer was not bringing forth life. Lucifer brought forth darkness. And this is where we have our issue. The darkness in which we got stuck in, and we're bringing forth exactly what Lucifer wants in her trading. The violence of this same trading. Now let's go over to Revelations chapter 12 and verse 4. Chapter 12 and verse 4. Okay? Notice now what took place. This is us. And her tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven. Remember the same temple. Okay? You have the courtyard, and then you have outside the gates. Outside the gates where all the Canaanites are. Okay? The base nature. This is the tail, the base nature. Outside the gates where all those who don't follow the instructions. We looked at that a few weeks ago. So the tail, which is the base nature here, drew the third part of the stars are the sons of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. This is us getting trapped. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to be delivered in order to devour her son or sons as soon as he was born. But they're going to be one. The son that's going to be born is the only begotten son, the spirit of the only begotten son that's awakening in you and I. So she has to come against you. It's not going to be easy, but be courageous, because your father said it's going to be okay. Okay? Just stick to his word. Do what he says. He's going to direct you and guide you through it, but it's not going to be easy. So the base nature took Adam out. The base nature couldn't get Yahshua though, because Yahshua said, "Now I learned from the first time that you got me, bro. Now, I'm not going to do it this time. I'm gonna get this the rest of my body out." Well, the rest of the body of Yahshua is the woman. This is the woman. This is you. When you and I will do what Yahweh says, that's us. And we're going to take the same spirit that Yahshua received if we do what Yahshua did. We're going to receive the same spirit just as he did. But she doesn't want us to go through that either, because she's going to lose her job. Okay? Our minds are going to close her off. And here comes a cap that's going to be over the bottomless pit, and we're not going to allow her to take us for granted like that anymore. But she knows that. She knows she's going to lose. So because she knows she's going to lose in this manner, she's going to make sure that you and I, we're going to have to earn this. And Yahweh's not going to change that, because yes, we do have to earn it. Okay, so we're seeing this here now. We're seeing in this particular scripture that Some of us was cast down. This is the beginning. This is a very long time ago. Now it goes to the place that it says, and, well, that's to the end, but it makes it sound like it's right after each other. No, the tail did cast us down when we fell. Well, now he's talking about, and the dragon stood before the woman. This is when the woman is going to get everything back. So it's talking about the beginning and close to the dragon's end. Now let's go over to Daniel 8. Okay, Daniel chapter 8. And let's look at verse 10. Daniel chapter 8 and verse 10. Here now, we're talking about what this dragon is using. Remember, we saw this woman, okay, that's on top of this beast, okay, and now in verse 9, it's telling us about this little horn which grew, and it grew all over and took over everything. Well, this woman was over everything. All the nations were under this woman, okay, because she's the one controlling the beast. Now look at verse 10. And it grew great up to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host of the stars to the ground, because we like it. It just didn't say, okay, come here, grab you by your neck and throw you down there. No, that's not what it's doing. We have to agree with that. We have to want it. And that's what we did. We wanted it, and we went for it just like Eve did. And we didn't follow the example of Yeshua when Yeshua says, hey, I'm going to go by what's written. I'm going to go by what my Father says. Okay, so you can't get me. No, we did what Adam and Eve did. We wanted it. We wanted to experience what the dragon was experiencing. Because the dragon told us that, listen, you could have what Yahweh said, and you could have what I'm doing too, and you won't die. My son gave a message last week. I just would that I had recorded it, but he went through showing exactly what took place in the garden, and he was using the scriptures to show that, yeah, we wanted our cake and we wanted to eat it too. And this is what caught these high beings that you call Adam and Eve. But anyway, we're going to go a little further here. It says, and it grew great up to the stars of heaven, and it cast some of the host of heaven to the ground, and trampled upon them. This is what's going on. So trampled upon them is actually ruling over them. It stands above them. Okay, so it's cast them to the earth, to the base nature that we're dealing with right now, and based upon the fact that we're stuck in our base nature and taking what she's telling us to do, she rules over us because we're doing it. We have actually taken on her commerce. We're doing it. Okay. Now, if we go over to Psalms chapter 82. Okay, Psalms chapter 82. Remember, we're the ones who are in this area right here because we want it. And so because we want it, because we have become drunk. So when we're drunk, we don't have all the faculties there. It's like we got bumped over the head and got amnesia. We want what we think we want in this right here, but we don't really want it. Okay, so he goes on. Yahweh stands, chapter 82. Yahweh stands in the assembly of the gods, and he gives judgment amongst the gods. How long will you defend the unjust and show partiality to the sinners? Because this is what's happening. That's the government of this dragon. Okay, defend the weak and the fatherless. Maintain the rights of the poor and oppressed. This is what needs to be going on. And this is what he's going to put in your heart if it's not there yet. It's this, and because there's no way for us to walk before him unless we're going to do what he does. Rescue the poor and the needy and deliver them from the hands of the wicked. You know nothing. You understand nothing. Notice here, guys. You walk in darkness. They have also been hit over the head. And they got us walking in their darkness because we want to do what they're showing us to do. All the foundation of the earth are shaken because of you. All the imbalance is because of you. And what you have taught to the children, the stars, who have taken up what you are selling, this commerce that you're dealing with, and caused them to get bumped over the head. This is the violence. This is the violence that we're talking about here. I have said, you are gods, you sons of the Most High. And like Adam, you will die. So Adam fell. Well, they're going to in the same manner. Just like all the other rulers or gods, you're going to fall too because you don't know. And you don't know this position that you have taken is going to cause you to be shut up. It has to happen. It's all in the course of nature. Okay? Everyone has to function in the manner in which Yahweh says to function. Okay? No one can function outside of that reality. Nobody. For a time, but it can't be forever because sooner or later it has to take its form. Now, we're going to go to 2 Peter. Okay? 2 Peter chapter 1. Now, something has come into the earth and is shining for us. And Yahweh has set this up from the very beginning, guys. Okay? Moshe, the prophets, Yahshua, all these guys were saying the same thing. So now, here comes Kepha now, during his time. He has received from Yahshua, but he's telling you and I something. In 1 Kepha 1 and verse 20, verse 19. Okay. Now let's go to verse 18. He says, and this voice, which was brought from heaven, this voice which was brought from heaven, is food, guys. It's food. If it's in the holy place, it's the showbread. If it's from the most holy place, it's the manna, the hidden manna. Okay. Okay, so he says here now, and this voice which which was brought from heaven, we heard, being with him and on the holy mountain. We also have the prophetic word, or the words of the prophets, made sure, which you do well to heed, as what? As life. That's what it really is. Okay? This was the light that was being shined in the earth was the life to mankind. This is actually what it's saying. The light, the life. That shines in a dark place because we have been taken over by darkness. This is why Yahweh deals with the moon right now, okay, until the day breaks and you return into your Father, which there'll be no need for the moonlight because everything will be light. Well, you need the moonlight right now because you have descended into darkness. And the moon is that which shines in darkness. This is what we have. So this is why you see a lot of things Moshe set up all by the moon, because it has to be by the moon right now. Because it's a light that's shining in a dark place. Okay, so now until the day dawns and the morning star, Lucifer, this office, rises in your hearts. It has to rise in your hearts, your intentions, your consciousness. This is where it's coming from. The light bringer is coming from within you and I. The office, we're going to see it. Okay, we're going to realize it, but not outwardly. It's going to be inside. The kingdom of Yahweh is within. And you're not going to see it by observation of what's outside, because the light bringer is right there in you. Now, let's go over to Revelations chapter 22. Revelations chapter 22. And here goes now. in verse 16. It says, I, Yahshua, have sent my Malik, this is his messenger, to testify to you these things in the congregation of the house of Yahweh. I am the root. This is the root. It's the DNA now, but it's not physical DNA. It's spirit. Okay? And the offspring of David. Now, it's not talking about David. David means Yahweh's beloved. Yahweh's beloved. You could say the only begotten son. And the bright morning star. He ascended, and then you found him after he ascended, standing at the right-hand side of the Father in the office of Lucifer. The office of Lucifer is on the right-hand side of the Father, the seven-lamp lampstand. He's in the middle of the seven-lamp lampstand, and his job is to do what he came in to do in the first place as Adam with us and got taken off. Now we're going to go right back to the very same place that we were when we take care of this Lucifer. Take back the office. This is what we're here to do. But we can't keep functioning in her commerce. That's why I said, come out of her so you do not partake of her plague. We got to set something different up. Let's go to Revelations 2. Revelations chapter 2. It's my last scripture. Revelations chapter 2. And let's look at verse 28. Okay? 2 and verse 28. We can't play both sides of the fence. It's either, we read last week, either make the tree righteous and its fruits righteous, or make the tree evil and its fruits evil. We can't play in the middle, because that's the knowledge of the tree of good and evil. That's what that's given. But Yahweh says either make it one or the other. Okay? But we got to take this office back. This is what the woman is here for. This is what Yahshua came in for, to replenish the earth. Well, we can't replenish the earth unless we do it with the ideals of which the Father of this earth have set up. In Revelation chapter 2, let's look at verse 28. I will give him, which ones? If you read up, guys, the ones who actually is going to overcome that. Okay, the ones who are going to do the right thing. I will give him the morning star. The morning star, because Yahshua is the morning star, and you and I are going to partake in that morning star if we do what he says. But we can't expect to be part of that morning star when he says go left and we want to go right, because we think we know it now. It has to be a body. It has to function as one unit, not based upon what I say, not based upon what anybody else says. It has to be based upon what Yahweh says, and based upon what has been brought down from the hidden manna, okay, being manifested in the most holy place as showbread, coming down to us in the physical world, okay, as the laws and the prophets. That's what it is. This is spiritual food that we're gonna have. That's what it tells us. We also have the words of the prophets, which is the food. And of course, for the physical body, you have everything that they give you around here for the physical body. But the food of the spirit are the word, the words. That's the fruit of the spirit. It has come down from the most holy place as hidden manna, and it has come right down, and you and I have taken it in right from the crown and right from our nostrils. Yahweh's giving it to us right now, all around. It's here. It's here today. And our job, whether we want to believe it or not, is to take back this office, is to restore Lucifer. For us to go back and get back to the job that we fell from. We came in to bring forth the light. And that light was the light to all that was in the earth during that time. And the job was to replenish the earth. It still has replenishing to do, but we got to do our part. That's all I have to say today.